It's an inspired choice to get Charlotte Tilbury involved. It's brilliant.
I think it's so clever. And I think it's really interesting as well because usually, like maybe back in the day, women's sports would try and get away from like the stereotypical like girly type things. Do you know what I mean? To try and be more like men in a way.
This is real progress for the sport, and it's a completely different sport to the one that I was put in front of in the 90s and the early noughties and even the mid-noughties. And it's a better place for it because it crosses over into lifestyle, entertainment, pop culture. That's when I think sport can actually be at its very best, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast. Actually, we've seen that the majority of the people that, I don't know about the listeners, but the majority of people that follow us on social media, it's mostly women.
Hello and welcome back to the Fast and the Curious with me, Betty Glover.
Me, well-travelled, slightly jet-lagged Formula One paddock botherer, Christian Hugill. Hello.
Paddock botherer.
That is great. That sums you up, I think.
I'm paddock botherer.
Perfect.
And look who's turned up.
Mr. Craig James.
The team principal finally shows his bloody face.
Yeah, well done.
You've been around the podcast, but you've just not been in the studio as much.
I've not been in the studio for a while. I've missed it. I sort of weirdly now feel, because I watch a lot of these of you in here, I feel like I'm intruding. I feel like I'm on sort of like a Make-A-Wish. This is my
my competition winner.
You've won a competition. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
Lovely to be here. My God, can I get your autographs?
It's like you won a competition on Blue Peter where you get to go and see the making of a TV show or something. Blue Peter, for those that don't know around the world, is a British TV show, like a legendary kids show.
Legendary kids show. Yeah. I'm very proud, though. I sit here proud as punch. I've
Why
got
are
a
you
list
proud?
of all the reasons I'm proud.
Oh, go on then.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greg's list.
Since we were all in the same place at the same time, the Island Queen over here has been in Miami getting some amazing stuff. We had Max Verstappen, we had Ed Sheeran, we had Logan Sargent. Betty, you got the big chat with Lando Norris after he
Big Lando
won his first Grand Prix. Then you had that amazing chat with strategist Ruth Buscombe. It's quite a tongue twister. Strategist Ruth Buscombe.
Oh, you do it well, though,
Do it
don't you?
again.
Strategist Ruth Buscombe.
Strategist Ruth Buscombe.
Strategist Ruth Buscombe.
That went out early this week, and I feel like podcast is, it feels fun, feels vibrant, feels vital. And that's my appraisal to you. I probably could have done that off air, but I've done it on air, and it does feel
Make the
great.
podcast feel vital.
It's vital. And we are carrying on with more vital and vibrant content today, Betty, aren't we?
Oh, we are. Vital and vibrant. That's our new slogan. Yeah, we've got lots coming up. Christian's still got an interview from Miami that he's been holding back.
Which, bear in mind, we've had Ed Sheeran and Max Verstappen and Logan Sargent in Miami. I think this one might be my favourite.
Okay.
Like a genuinely brilliant thing. We'll talk more about it in a bit.
Yeah, it's with MBE and head of Beauty Empire, Charlotte Tilbury, who I absolutely love. I'm so jealous, by the way.
Yeah, we'll go into this. Into this.
And we're also going to talk about Silverstone.
That's not our first MBE. Who else is an MBE who's been on the podcast? Because Hamilton's a Sir. Who else have we had?
Jensen Button's not an MBE. is he?
Jensen Button must be an MBE.
No,
Is he?
Jimmy, I reckon he's something.
I don't think
I
he
reckon
is.
He's gotta be something.
I reckon he's an O or an M. He's an M.
Is he?
Of course he's Jensen Button. Of course he's an M.
Yeah.
He's a British sporting legend.
Oh,
He is.
listen, I'd knight Jensen Button tomorrow, but I'm aware that I don't make the rules.
You knight
Knight
him.
him
Do you make him a
tomorrow.
Sir?
Oh, God, yeah.
All right.
Would you?
Who
Yes.
else have we had? Who else has been an M or an O or a C?
What's Jackie Stewart?
Jackie
Sir. He's a Sir.
He's a
Jackie
Sir,
Stewart.
Sir
He's
Jackie
Jack, so we've
Stewart.
had two sirs
Jesus,
already.
we're
It's good, isn't
doing-
it?
Sheeran's got an O or a
well.
C,
Has he?
hasn't he? He's
Do
definitely
they,
got
they
one.
just give them out to anyone
well,
nowadays,
these are
don't they?
these are big names.
These aren't just anyone, though, are they?
He's an M.
He's an M.
Sheeran's an M.
Are you anything?
Am I anything? I don't need it. I'm team principal.
Team
Fast and
principal.
You don't
Curious.
need any of that, Greg.
Award-winning podcast.
Award-winning podcast. And I'm Island Queen.
And you are the Island Queen. That, by the way, was my favourite bit of the Miami episode, where he was so like a pig in wasn't he, in Miami? He was standing by the water in Miami, looking fantastic, looking happy, looking tanned.
Sunglasses on.
And just so relaxed in front of the camera. And in the background was this boat called the Island Queen, and it was just set up for the most brilliantly awful Christian Hugo joke ever. So yeah, the Island Queen was standing next to the Island Queen, And I love that episode. If you've not watched the Miami one, you should do. It's very, very good.
So good.
Could I just say, Ruth Buscombe was the last episode of the podcast.
Strategist Ruth Buscombe.
Ruth Buscombe, which we recorded before I went away. I've literally only just got back, just over 24 hours ago. I am still jet lagged. So if things take me a bit longer today, I've not slept a lot in the last 3 days. I'm just back.
Tire degradation chat's going to be even longer. They're going to be even longer.
We're going to need to start timing him.
You can actually watch YouTube at double speed.
Yeah, just quickly, fast
And
forward.
save your podcast.
We've got some Vettel energy drinks in the fridge over there, Christian.
Greg's made me a coffee. That really helped.
You're welcome.
Anyway, we're also going to talk about Silverstone because we got some really exciting plans that we need to run by everybody. Very exciting.
And actually, we are at a stage, just to be totally clear with the production process, we are totally up for discussion on how we do the competition. We're going to do a competition, basically.
There's a competition that we haven't basically thought of yet.
Yeah, but we're going to explain all of that.
I'm spinning it in a different way. I'm spinning it as in the listeners are part of the show. They can have input, basically come up with the idea.
Excellent.
For us.
Before we
Have you not listened to the Radio and Breakfast Show? That is what I do every day.
I was going to say, we've been busy, you know.
Before we get onto that, though, I think we've got a bit of big news that we need to start with, guys.
We do.
Big driver F1 news. Alex Albon has committed his future to Williams, Christian.
Alex Albon news. It's a spin-off, you see.
Williams say that he signed a multi-year contract extension, which is going to take him into the new era of Formula One regulations, so at least 2026. Did we expect this? I think we did, didn't we?
No.
No?
Not now. I didn't. No. So let's talk immediately. There are 2 big seats available, Mercedes and Red Bull. Was he linked to either of those seats strongly? No, he wasn't. Was I expecting him to keep himself in the shop window for a little bit longer? Yes, I was. Then looking more long term, this is big news because Williams have come out this year and not had anywhere near as strong start to the season as they'd have liked. But there had previously been all this big talk about the Williams machine moving forward under James Vowles. What this shows you is Alex Albon saying, yeah, I'm not worried about the start to the season. This is just a blip. I've still got every confidence that Williams is a team that can not only go and score points, but can win Grand Prix. He is in this project being led by James Vowles, this transformation that we've been talking about on the podcast that started really when our podcast started beginning of last season. He really believes in this project. So I didn't expect it straight away because there was also some rumours that he wasn't going to be at Williams next year, even though he was under contract. He was going to try and wriggle out of it. But it's a big confidence boost for Williams and for that project long term.
That's great. It's good for him because he obviously enjoys that car, enjoys the team, enjoys racing under the Williams name. And
they
is
love
happy.
him, and he's rejuvenated his career there. You know, this is a person that when he got kicked out of the Red Bull race seat, you know, there was only 4 years or so ago in Formula One, the debate was, does Alex Albon deserve a seat in Formula One? Now, since he's been in Williams, no one's saying, does Alex deserve a seat in Formula One? In fact, he was being linked to Red Bull and Mercedes drives. He definitely deserves a seat in Formula One. But having, and we discussed this with Lando, having a team you're comfortable with built around you is a really good position to be in. So I think it's a really good move for him. I'm really glad he stayed.
How old is he?
Off the top of my head, he's about 24.
What do you reckon? 24? You think? I think 26, 25, 26, 26 maybe. What, Jimmy? 28?
28? Yeah, he's older than you think.
He's 28, okay. But that's still... You talk about rejuvenating his career. In my head, he's early to mid-20s, but he's 28. So, but for him, I guess he's thinking, I've got plenty of time here.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting better and better and better.
Yeah,
is he getting better and better and better?
Yeah, he's getting better
so
and better and better.
He thinks, I've got could have a good 5, 6, 7 years where I could just keep getting really, really good, peak, and then do you think he could be a world champion one day?
In the right car, yes. I think there's
on that point though. Do you think this is the right thing for him? Do you think he's done the right?
Yeah, I do, because I'm a big believer in Formula One of having a car built around you. And we look at, I raise this a lot, Fernando Alonso, who jumped from team to team to team and has never won the world championships he's capable of. He's only got 2, he's capable of 7 or 8. Whereas people like Verstappen and Hamilton have had teams built around them. We're seeing the benefits already with Norris sticking with McLaren and the progress they're making. I think with James Vowles, I believe in James Vowles as a team principal. He believes in James Vowles as a team principal. And as a project, they've got backing from Dorilton Capital, the company that owns it. They've got money. I think it is the right move for him. And just to answer Greg's question, because I think it's a really interesting one, I put Alex Albon in that sort of number 2 bracket in F1. There's the greats that you think you can win world championships, Verstappen, Alonso, Hamilton. Then there's the really good drivers that you think you're race winners, you're Carlos Sainz, your Lando Norris, your Alex Albon. For me, he's in that category.
You're not putting Lando in the top one?
No.
Really?
Not yet. No. Lando's got more to prove until he's up with Verstappen and Hamilton and Alonso. More to prove.
Oh, so you mean in terms of like...
Championships.
like how many they've won?
No, I mean in terms of the very top talent level.
Yeah.
For me, there's 3 there at the moment. There's Alonso, Verstappen and Hamilton.
Because they've proven it.
Yeah. Then you've got underneath the ones that can undoubtedly win races, which are Norris, which are Albon, which are Sainz,
Leclerc,
and I think Albon's in that category. Can he win titles? Yes, but let's see if he could win races consistently first.
Yeah.
and that's an age thing to a certain extent. Apart from Verstappen, who's what, same as Albon, 28,
A bit younger, I think.
Is
Max
he?
is.
I want to say 26.
Oh my God.
How old's Verstappen?
Maniac.
26, yeah.
Max Verstappen is a maniac
I
at
know.
26.
Isn't he?
I've only put Verstappen in that top category in the last 12 months. He's proved
Yeah,
himself
'cause
now
he's
to be
done it.
a great.
Okay.
The consistency we mentioned in the podcast last week when he was on, the lack of mistakes. So yeah, Alex is capable of winning races for sure.
Just on Logan, did you sense that? Because from the chat, he seemed really chilled. He's just so seems unflappable. Whatever's going on.
I think he was very chilled. I took from the chat, it was interesting that he'd stayed throughout the Miami weekend at his mum and dad's rather than in a hotel. I detected that was maybe just take a bit of pressure off. You wake up in the morning at your mum and dad's at your old kitchen table, have breakfast with people, it keeps you chilled.
I wouldn't like that. That wouldn't get me in the zone.
But sometimes I think it's about relieving pressure on yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think Logan's content. I do, and I think he's realistically probably battling to keep that seat for the season.
Whatever happens to him, though, he'll have a life of racing cars. He'll be in motorsport for his whole life. He's good enough to compete in different... If he doesn't make it to Formula 1 next season.
There's lots of rumours about his future. I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he'll be replaced before the season's out. I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he'll complete the season. As for next year, that's a big question mark. Regardless of what happens, Logan's a huge talent who was in that seat and is in that seat on merit. He's quick. He's a quick driver, Logan. And actually, last couple of race weekends, I've seen improvement from him. And I think he was doing well in Miami before Kev took him out. The race before, he was doing well before he ran into car trouble. So I actually think Logan's had a good couple of races. I'm looking forward to in Imola to seeing where he goes to.
Shall we move on to the rumour mill then?
Ooh,
Okay.
the rumour
So all the
mill.
rumours that are going around. So this means that Alex Albon's staying at Williams, which is exciting. But then that means who's going to be going to Mercedes? Does it look like Carlos is the front runner?
I don't think, for me, there's no front runner. For me, it's 50-50. I hear people in the F1 paddock say for fact it's going to be Kimi Antonelli. I say people for fact say it's going to be Carlos Sainz. I don't think anyone knows at this stage. I don't think Mercedes know at this stage. I think personally, if I'm Toto Wolff, I would love to put Kimi Antonelli in because his talent, and Greg's now whacked himself, done a full Betty Glover and whacked himself with the microphone. It's easily done.
It's easily done, Greg. Don't worry.
Kimi Antonelli is showing talent after talent after talent. Do you put him into a team that is struggling now? No, I don't think you do.
And George hasn't exactly been incredible.
George has been good without being spectacular. So if I was team principal, I would be putting George and Kimi on 2-year contracts to try and get them... George and Carlos on 2-year contracts to try and build out of this mess they're currently in. And I'd be putting someone like Kimi Antonelli at Williams alongside Albon.
That works, doesn't it?
That's what I would be doing.
What would you do, Greg, as a
I
team
would do
principal?
that.
You'd go for
That's
that.
exactly what I would do. And I was having a chat with a guy at Radio 1 today who said, Albon news. And he went, what do you think's going to happen next? I said, probably Logan might not make it next season. And he went, Antonelli then? I went, yeah, I think you put Kimi Antonelli in. And then Carlos Sainz. Mercedes.
That's
it's
what
quite
I'd
fun.
do.
It's quite a good story. Mercedes need a big name, don't
And
they? Really,
he's proven himself.
George is a big name, but he's not an enormous name. And Carlos Sainz is a bigger, more famous name, I think, globally.
I don't see it that way. I think George and Carlos are similar level. Personally, I think in terms of name, I think you need experience when you are in a mess like Mercedes are in. This is a team that wants to be fighting for world championships. At the moment, they're 4th, 5th quickest. I think they need proper feedback. I think it's a bad place to throw a rookie into. I think it could damage a rookie,
Safe
even
pair of
talented
hands to get
one.
a few points on the board. Steady the ship.
Steady the ship, provide the feedback, provide the, drivers that have driven different cars who can say, I need more of this, less of that. I also am a big believer in drivers who can start their careers at slightly lower levels with less pressure on them. It worked for Alonso and Webber at Minardi. It worked for Russell at Williams. I think it would really help Kimi Antonelli. And then also, it's good motivation for Russell and Sainz if they were to be at Williams to know, well, Antonelli's going to get this seat at some point. So keep yourself in the game, lads, because Antonelli will probably be here at some stage. Like Bottas knew at Mercedes that he needed to keep up his game because Russell was coming through the system. Yeah. By the way, it's not out the question, Betty. You talk about the rumour mill. I don't think Sainz to Red Bull is totally out the question.
Do you reckon?
I don't think Red Bull have decided what to do. I don't think Verstappen to Mercedes is totally out the question.
Wow. All right, sorry.
Can you imagine?
Start with that one.
I don't think that's how they go. I think there's a reason that Max hasn't turned round and said, I will not be going to Mercedes. I am sticking with this Red Bull project long term. Max is not turning around and killing these rumours and saying, no, I'm going to be at Mercedes long term.
But if you're Max...
I'm going to be at Red Bull long term.
If you're Max Verstappen, why would you go to Mercedes at this point in time?
Because we are seeing already McLaren are making big steps to catch Red Bull. I personally think we're starting to see, I think Red Bull have reached the tip of their dominance. I think from here, it's going to get closer and closer and closer. I think we're seeing that
what we want,
with
guys.
McLaren. And I think there are apparently more Ferrari upgrades to come. There are more McLaren upgrades to come. Yes, Red Bull have upgrades to come. But crucially, to answer your question, why would you go? Because 2026, this series is going to become lots more engine dependent as a series. Mercedes are a big engine supplier. All the engine rules change. At the moment, the Ferrari, Renault, Red Bull powertrains, Mercedes engines, there's not a lot between them. That could change in 2026. And it's what Lewis Hamilton did when the last regulations changed, spotted that Mercedes were a good place to be. And all the rumours seem to suggest that Mercedes are happy with where their engine development is. Mercedes may be struggling now with the chassis, but come 2026, the engine could be considerably more important.
Fantastic.
This is what we like. This is it.
I think it's, and Red Bull will have forward behind them, so we shouldn't count Red Bull out. But with Red Bull lacking with Adrian Newey, with other people rumoured to go, with the turbulence around Christian Horner still in the air, it is quite possible that Max may think long term, yeah, all right. Now I think Red Bull are the favourites for the championship this year and next year. But it's
2026.
closer. And yes, maybe I'm going to stay for a year or two, but long term, I don't think Max is ruling anything out.
You know what it is? It's juicy.
It's juicy. This is juicy.
Juicy pod, guys.
This
it's juicy.
Is juicy.
It's about to get even juicier.
I want to get in a time machine and just go to 2026 now, to be honest.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Because you're
Why?
going to miss out on moments like Lando winning the last race. You're going to miss out on. You're going to miss out on Lewis Hamilton making his Ferrari debut. And by the way, the last time we were in a situation like this, where there was a rule change in 2022. Everyone was like, oh, we can skip 2021. And it gave us...
And it was epic.
The greatest season of all time.
Epic.
So
that is a very good point.
Don't you wish your life away,
yeah,
Betty Glover.
I'm not wishing my life away. And also, I don't want to get older, so...
So stay where you are.
I don't want to be in my 30s, and we're edging closer to
Nothing
that.
wrong with being in your 30s.
No.
Okay, before we move on to talk about the race this weekend in Imola, and also before we hear from your interview with special guest Charlotte Tilbury, which I'm so excited for. Hope you got me free lip gloss. I hear that you've got some presents for us from Miami, Christian.
Yeah, so I've got presents from Miami, and then a non-Miami present as well. So we'll do.
He's on the move. He's on the move. He'd be a great pantomime dame, wouldn't
Yeah,
he?
he would. He also like has a little skip when he runs. Like...
He's literally exited stage left through the wings. He's quite like Biggins, isn't he?
He
Actually,
is, a
he's
bit
like
Biggins.
he's like the
Box,
podcast
box.
Christopher Biggins.
Oh, what's this
Now,
then?
I saw while I was away, Fast and Curious favourite Amanda, who saw us at the live show.
Wristbands.
So Amanda has
Bracelets.
made us new wristbands.
Oh,
Now,
thanks, Amanda.
These have got Fast and Curious on.
Fantastic.
And a pink. But Greg, Amanda made a special one for you. Would you like to read what's on the special one?
Yes. This one says, Dan Fallow's #1 fan.
There you go.
Yes, Amanda.
So a special
you.
one from Amanda.
I'll put that on immediately.
Amanda,
Thank you,
also-
Amanda. That's and it's also in the Aston Martin colours.
It's also in the Aston
Yeah.
Martin
So
colours.
this
She's
was an
done well
episode
there.
from a few months ago now, I guess, where Christian said, according to Dan Fallows, and I said, not the Dan Fallows.
The Dan Fallows.
Which I then had to explain to Dan Fallows in the paddock in Bahrain the next week, and then Dan came on the podcast and
He gets it.
He gets it.
Dan was great crack. He loved it. Loved the attention.
But then she gave us this for the new studio, which I shall show to the camera.
Oh, how lovely. This is a photograph of our first end of season party at Mercedes-Benz World.
From Amanda.
It's the group shot with Karun Chanduk and
Sam
Chloe
Ryder.
and Sam Ryder. Fantastic.
And she sent us a lovely little card as
Bradley
well.
Lord.
Bradley Lord, yeah.
So that was
Shall
for
I
our new
put that up?
studio from
That's so
Amanda,
nice.
which is
That
a lovely
so
little print.
nice. Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda.
Now, that is Miami presents.
Where's it going? And if you're watching, we're going to put it
Where should we put it?
maybe next to next to the Red Bull.
Next to a Jordan and a Williams cap.
Oh,
it needs to be. Might need a
Put it,
stand.
put it against the plant pot.
There you go.
There you go.
Right.
Nice.
Good. Now,
Very nice.
you mentioned at the start. Now, this is a non-Miami present. You mentioned at the start of the episode you hadn't been in the studio for a couple of studio records.
True.
And the reason you'd not been in the studio was, for at least one and possibly both of them, was Barney.
Oh yeah. In fact, I'm going to the vets again tomorrow, which is my entire life.
You live there now.
Now,
Yeah.
so
Pay blood enough in rent there. Let me tell you.
It's a very expensive place to live.
regular listeners will know that Barney's been poorly and was poorly last year, and he's being a bit of a trooper and he's having to carry on. But Barney is doing well, isn't he?
He's doing very well.
But he's a bit of a. It just got me thinking that he's never present, isn't he? He won't give up.
Oh, yeah.
He's determined.
He loves living.
He loves living.
he loves being alive.
And he won't give up, even though he's had all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
He's just always there.
Always there.
Who does that remind you of in Formula One?
You.
No, not me.
Oh, Fernando Alonso. if he wheels Fernando
Here
Alonso
he
in now,
comes.
what's going on?
For Barney.
You're an idiot.
A present for Barney.
It's a it's a squeezy dog toy with Fernando Alonso's face on it.
It's a Fernando Alonso dog toy for Barney.
See. Oh,
There we go. Take him out of the box.
What are you trying to say, Fernando? You're staying at Aston Martin for another few years. You want to win the World Championship with them? Oh, well, we believe in you. That is absolutely amazing.
Wow.
It's a Snugsy, if you're interested.
he's going to rip that apart, isn't he?
This will last approximately 35 seconds.
He's going to rip Fernando Alonso apart.
Yeah, should we keep
we'll
it
we'll
here?
keep him here.
He'll keep him
Can we
in
keep
instead
him
of
here?
giving him Barney, shall we?
For now.
Yeah.
Because I quite like him. I think we look
you
good
put
on
him in
our
that
set.
tyre?
Should we put him in the tyre?
Put Fernando in the tyre.
Oh,
That work?
oh, he's got his jeans on, Fernando. Right. Well, thank you so much,
That's
Christian.
an amazing gift.
There you
Thank
go. I did say I was going to get Barney a toy for all of his, ailments, and there he is.
That's a very, very lovely gift. Thank you.
There you go.
I love that. Barney will love that eventually.
Eventually, but just going to live in the studio for a bit first.
He'll live in the studio for a
That's
bit,
fine.
yeah.
That's fine.
Ah, so thanks, Christian. Thanks, Amanda.
There you go.
Love it. More
Presents.
bracelets.
The present section.
We should probably hear your interview with Charlotte Tilbury now, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Now, so for those that don't know, Charlotte Tilbury was announced at the start of the year as an official partner of F1 Academy. Charlotte Tilbury's a makeup and beauty brand. It's the company's first ever global sports sponsorship. Bit of a landmark signing to bring a sort of female-fronted beauty brand into the paddock.
My favourite beauty brand as
Your
well,
favourite?
must I add, yes.
Well...
So Charlotte, if you're listening...
She will be, I'm sure.
I have to be honest, before the Charlotte Tilbury name came to F1 Academy, wasn't aware of the brand or Charlotte's work in herself. And it might not surprise regular listeners to know, anyone who knows me, that I wasn't exactly feeling... I'm all right with an F1 interview. Like, put me in front of Max Verstappen, that's fine, I can do that. The Ed Sheeran interview, as we talked about on the Miami debrief episode, came about super last minute. I didn't have time to get nervous. It was like, oh God, here I am in front of Ed Sheeran. But this one, I think I was a little bit nervous, because this is an incredibly powerful entrepreneur, an incredibly powerful human being.
She's a big dog, darling.
Big dog, known for being a bit of a powerhouse. So I was a little bit nervous. But shall we find out what happened?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Charlotte Tilbury, MBE, welcome to
Darling.
the Fast and the Curious.
The Fast and the Curious, so good. I love the Fast and the Curious.
Well, the premise is the drivers are fast and we're curious.
Yes.
So we're proud of it. It's a name
Fabulous.
that's served us well so far.
Yes.
Glad you like it. Glad you like the name, but what do you think of the Miami Grand Prix?
I mean, darling, Miami Grand Prix, it's pretty epic. It's pretty euphoric. It's pretty exciting. It's just high energy, high excitement, adrenaline. I mean, I'm a complete adrenaline junkie. It's like that sort of, the races, the glamour, the fun, the excitement, I mean, today's been an amazing day for me, I have to say. I mean, kind of, I waved the flag, the checkered flag at the end of the race. That was a pretty momentous thing. I mean, that's what kind of things, dreams come true.
How was that? Because and the F1 Academy also has produced some amazing racing this weekend. So how was...
They are incredible, the girls,
Oh,
aren't they?
so fantastic.
They are really, really, really fearless. Like, they're great racing, exciting. That was just amazing sitting on the grid watching them.
For anybody that doesn't know, your brand became one of the very key sponsorship deals of F1 Academy.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, if we could just want to tell everyone that, basically Susie Wolf, who, is really the pioneer behind the F1 Academy for Women, is really, I mean, she's a big fan of my brand. And then we kind of, started talking about really me becoming a sponsor, because... And for me, I was like, hold on a minute. Are you telling me that we've got, 40% viewership of F1 is women? 5% only participation are women. More women, I mean, I love this stat, have circumnavigated the planet than actually driven an F1 car. And are we really living in a world like that today? So Susie Wolf is a visionary. She's brilliant. What she's doing to back the F1 Academy. And I have to say, Formula One are really getting behind her. So which I think is fantastic. But for me, it was like, we've got to break down these boundaries. We've got to break down these walls. We've got to really support these incredible women. So it just felt so natural that I would end up sponsoring a car with Lola Lovingfoss kind of driving, but I'm actually sponsoring the F1 Academy. I'm a big sponsor of the academy.
And I was about to say, what was it that made you want your brand associated with the series? It sounds like Susie had a lot to do with that.
Susie did. I mean, the fact is, for me, it was just, Susie is incredible. She's a visionary, but it was also like, hold on a minute. We need to, I'm a disruptor. I'm an innovator, and I can't believe that actually we're not seeing more women in sport. We've got to break down these boundaries. We've got to do something about this. So for me, anything that is shining a light to really help empower people and give them the confidence, that's what my brand is. My makeup and skincare and fragrance is all about giving people confidence. If you look good, you feel good. The world reacts to you in a different way. So for me, and so much of, of this sport, really, the Formula One, is all about winning. So it's like, it's all about the mindset. It's the winning mindset. I mean, I've been speaking to the drivers. They're like, if you don't start changing that mindset at the beginning of the season, if you kind of feel like you made a mistake or whatever it is, it's so much about the mind.
What I love as well is I've been a Formula One fan for 20 years. I'm 32, like as long as I can remember. And having your brand, which is so synonymous with empowering women, at the front and centre of it, I think just shows that the sport is moving in the right direction, because I don't think a brand tie-up like this would happen when I first started watching the sport. It's a really nice thing that I've seen.
I'm always happy to stand up, disrupt, innovate. It's who I am as an entrepreneur, breaking down boundaries. But, it's time. But there weren't, let me tell you, there weren't any like female kind of, beauty brands clambering out there to sponsor them. And I'm like, yes, we are sponsoring
Love
these women.
that.
We are breaking down these boundaries. We are doing this. And it's going to open up the sport. And I have to say, the followers, you know, that I know even that this weekend, people have come to Formula One in Miami. You know, I've heard this from people, met people, because they have found out of it through me, Charlotte Tilbury, and through some of my social media. So we're opening up the sport. We're shining a light on the sport. We're backing these women and we're disrupting. And it's like, you know what? More people, come on, everyone get behind it because it's amazing.
You've brought your brand into Formula One.
Yeah.
I wondered if there's anything of Formula One you wanted to take away. For example, I don't know what you've thought about as you've got up close and onto the side of the track. You mentioned fragrance has become a big thing for Charlotte Tilbury. Could there be a motorsport fragrance, a Formula One and F1 Academy fragrance that you take out with you? What do you think that smell would be? What are the scents that have followed you around this weekend?
My number one fragrance right now, actually, it's got leather and it's got musk and it's got Aldron and it's got all of those things. And perfect. It's called More Sex, so it's already out there, but it's got a lot of those. But we could do another one. Should we call it Drive?
I've actually got I've got an idea.
I've got an idea. What is it?
You know your brand that does fantastically well, Pillow Talk.
Pillow Talk. Yeah.
We're stood in the F1 paddock. Paddock Talk.
Paddock Talk. Oh, okay. Paddock Talk. I'm loving that. That's gonna. I mean,
I can't take credit for that
that
idea.
is so good.
Hello to Ruth Boscombe, who is an ex-Sauber and Ferrari strategist. She's an amazing person, Ruth is, and she told me that
you
one
are
earlier.
genius. Ruth, you are genius. Paddock Talk.
I think she's going to be slightly obsessed when I play this.
Exactly.
Ruth is,
Let's get that lipstick out there. Let's get that new fragrance out there.
And also, it's
Do you
hot.
think it'll be a rival to More Sex? Yeah.
I don't know, but I do.
Euphoria. Pillow Talk. Yeah.
It could be, but also it is so warm here. Your what was I introduced to at the start of the weekend? I was introduced to your face spray.
Oh, it's amazing! My Magic Hydrator Mist.
It's a saved me.
We call it like literally makes all the kind of lines and dehydration lines disappear. Someone called it Botox in a bottle, because you literally put it on your face because you get so dehydrated here, and suddenly people start looking more lined than they normally are because it's like they're completely exhausted and dehydrated.
Somebody gave me a spray on Thursday morning. It has saved me this weekend single-handedly. I also love,
everyone needs it, darling, and also it's like anti-pollution, smooths out your lines and pores. I mean, that stuff is like, honestly, it's like so addictive. It's amazing.
And we're doing this interview recorded, just audio.
Yeah.
Normally they've started filming this podcast and they put me in a studio,
Right,
so I'm
darling.
having to get much better with makeup.
Darling.
And there is an introduction.
What about
section
Charlotte
on
Tilbury's
your
magic
website.
cream?
Oh well, this is it. I'm open for any suggestions and tips.
Darling,
because
did
I'm
you go to the website? Did you go to my Easy Beauty for You app?
I went to it and I loved the fact that there was an accessible bit, because it can seem quite daunting for someone new to makeup like myself. But there was an accessible section of helping men in and helping people who are new to it in. I was like, this is fantastic.
Well, exactly, darling. Do you know how many male actors? I mean, George Clooney.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they're all Adam Driver. They're all they all wear magic cream, darling.
Oh, absolutely.
Magic cream, magic skin, darling. It literally is. It transforms your skin in 28 seconds. It's got a hyaluronic mesh plumping smoothing technology. Men are obsessed with it. Trust me. Bankers, athletes, they're all at it.
Well, you've sold me completely. It's such a pleasure to meet you and have you on our podcast.
Oh, darling, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having
for what
me.
you're doing for motorsport in opening it up to people. It's the ethos of our podcast and we love it. So thank you for everything.
Do you want to
you're
hear a
doing.
really amazing stat?
I would love to.
The launch of Charlotte Tilbury as a sponsor for Formula One Academy was bigger than the launch of Drive to Survive.
Well, we love that. Let's end on that.
Come on, everyone. We love you.
note.
Everyone that's listening, thank you for supporting. Thank you for shining light on these incredible women. And let's make that change. It's amazing.
Charlotte Tilbury, thank you for being on
Thank
the
you
Fast
so
and the
much.
Curious.
It's an inspired choice to get Charlotte Tilbury involved. It's brilliant.
I think it's so clever. And I think it's really interesting as well, because usually, like, maybe back in the day, women's sports would try and get away from like the stereotypical like girly type things. Do you know what I mean? To try and be more like men in a way. Does that make sense? Whereas they've embraced it. They've gone, let's
Well,
do
totally.
it.
And right, women wear makeup, as we've just heard in an interview, some men. And why not? You shouldn't shy away from that. It's a women's series. Why not do something that women use? And you've just said then, it's my favourite brand. So I was just obsessed with her. In terms of you,
she is a hun.
oh my
And
God.
you love a hun.
I
We all
love a
love a
hun.
hun.
Yeah.
Love a hun. But in terms of just like, I also love people. I'm genuinely fascinated
loves
by
huns
people.
and people.
Love
Huns
huns
and
and people.
people.
And
Welcome to Huns and People with me, Christian Hugo. where I talk to Huns and people.
Yeah, sure.
But no, but you're right. I mean, she's an impressive person, and you love chatting to her.
I loved chatting to her. I loved meeting her. I found her fascinating and sort of quite inspirational. I was just obsessed that the second she saw me, she called me darling. Hello, darling. And as soon as she saw me...
I bet you just melted.
Oh,
you would have done anything for her.
And then at the end, it was brilliant. So she was really lovely. Again, like Ed Sheeran, it's always nice to meet celebrities who are actual lovely. But at the end, it was brilliant because we'd been trying to... This was like an hour before the Grand Prix. So it was actual chaos. So we tried to find a quiet place to do the interview. Went into the Pirelli garage before the race, and just before she sort of went out into the chaos again, I was like, oh, can we get a quick picture? So we got a picture, but she had this person who sort of came from behind the scenes and immediately do a like I don't know, like a
lighting check.
Scan. Yeah, and she just like scanned around and looked for the lighting, went here, I think, here, and she sort of she didn't grab me, but she touched me by the shoulder and went, you just here, darling, you here, Charlotte. And then she went, make sure you're on this side of Charlotte, please. This side. So every person who has a picture with Charlotte has to go on one particular side.
Because she's got her good side and she knows
Yes.
it.
Do you know the comedy, one of my favourite comedies ever, Veep?
No, I don't think I do, actually.
Okay, it's about the vice president of the United States of America, and it's played amazingly by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who is a legend.
Yeah.
And she has an assistant on the show.
I wondered what you were doing on your phone. I knew you were spotting something.
She's got an assistant called Gary, who is quite camp.
Yes.
And I'm just picturing that. I think you're going to get a job with Charlotte Tilbury, is what I'm getting at. I think she's going to employ you as her confidant, like Gary from Veep. That's him.
That's
And
Gary.
they have this amazing relationship where she is a total Hun, and she tells all the secrets.
I'm not going to do that because she's got there was a lovely lady she had with
Not
her.
for long. Not for long, because she's going to replace her with you.
The woman who was with her was a better Gary than I am, trust me. But then also, they then did, they went, so we'd had the picture, they'd done the scan, they'd found the right light, and then she went, Charlotte, I think now's the best time for us to change your shoes, darling. And she did a scheduled shoe change. So as I was saying goodbye, there was like 2 or 3 people around her putting her into a different shoe for this next bit of the day.
Trainers or?
Oh, they were like they'd got a heel, more like a red boot. They were, but yeah, I again never thought when we started a Formula One podcast that I'd be put in front of Ed Sheeran, and this was another one with like I would have never have been interviewing someone who was in charge of a beauty brand before. So she was amazing.
But this is
loved
good.
that.
This is real progress for the sport, and it's a completely different sport to the one that I was put in front of in the 90s and the early noughties and even the mid noughties, and it's a better place for it because it crosses over into lifestyle, entertainment, pop culture. That's when I think sport can actually be at its very best, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast. Actually, we've seen that the majority of the people that, I don't know about the listeners, but the majority of people that follow us on social media, it's mostly women.
Well,
because there's an appetite for this sport for people that are not just blokes.
When we were walking to the interview, when it was all chaos, Charlotte was talking to me, knowing I'm a sort of F1 fanatic, and she was saying, oh my God, I'm amazed walking around at how diverse it is. There are people from different, with different skin colours, different genders. And she was like, because you don't always see that at sport. A lot of the sport is just white men. I was like, yeah, totally. And then I said to her, well, it's not always been like that. It's been a proper change. And she was like, it's amazing that it's changing so much. And then I told her that this podcast is a sport, a UK-based sports podcast that's actually got more female listeners than men, and she was like, that is incredible.
Oh, it's my favourite thing.
So yeah, it's good for the sport in the 90s when we started watching it. It was sponsored by Booze and Fags, and now you've got brands like that coming into it. It is now for everyone, and brands like Charlotte Tilbury being involved just show that. It's fantastic.
Well, just to butt in quickly, just want to say, Betty, big reason why there's a lot of women that listen to and love this podcast is that you are at the helm. So that take the compliment.
I don't think so. I think it's all of us. It's all of us.
Betty.
They love
because
all...
I've noticed this because Betty is a woman.
Betty is a woman, but I'm just saying
You are.
People listen to you and they hear you in the sport and they go, oh, right, it's for me. And sometimes it is as straightforward as that.
I think it's all of us.
Well, you would say that because you're modest. But anyway, let me say it. We've also got Speaking of the F1 Academy, tell us about the next guest coming up soon.
Well, this is really exciting because we've got Abby Pulling coming on the podcast very, very soon. We're going to have a chat to her. Current F1 Academy Championship leader. She also became the first woman to win the British F4 race very recently, not long ago. So, yeah, we're going to get into that with her coming up.
And we talked about it at the end of the Miami debrief episode. That was of the Miami Grand Prix weekend, a real talking point in the paddock. That Dorian Pan was expected to walk away with that championship. And when I was stood watching qualifying on one of the big screens, and all of a sudden Abby was half a second in front of Dorian, it was like, we've got a story here. So it's again nice to see the F1 Academy creeping into the F1 paddock gossip. Being like, oh, by the way, have you seen that? So Abby's being noticed at the moment. She's in a real good patch.
I love serious Christian.
Yeah, same. He's
We've got a story
between
here.
the two.
Like proper. I mean, you're journalists, so you're always looking for the story. It's like, we've got a story here. There's a story. There's something we can work with here.
No, but
Serious
you're right.
voice.
It was one of those moments where noticing stood on my own, and your journalistic senses start tingling when she's half a second in front of you. Like, hello,
Here we go.
This is a thing. This is a thing.
Shall we talk about our summer plans?
Yes,
Do you want to let me tell you some stuff. You might not know all the stuff. I mean, the listeners definitely won't know any of it. But
I
you might
know
not...
very little about this.
Okay,
I
so-
thought you meant my summer plans as my little holiday to Spain.
No,
and
we
doing a
don't
long
need to
weekend
know
in
about
July.
that.
Well, I can tell you about that if you like.
No. So look, our summer plans are great. Here we go with our Silverstone plan. Last year, it was a great race. Lando came second. He was leading the race for a little bit. Remember that we were in the McLaren garage. It was so exciting. He told Betty on the last episode that that's the place he wants to win more than anywhere.
Yeah.
Last time we did a live podcast with Gunter Steiner. We also did one with Christian's dad, which involved a hen do, which was really nice.
They were separate things, I should just say. That makes my dad sound a bit questionable.
He would have loved it, though.
They were separate things.
Yeah.
He would have loved to have been on that Hindu.
And that's where the Fast and the Curious Sam Ryder relationship blossomed, and then he hosted a bit of that final show from there. So this year we're going bigger and better. Podcast is bigger. We're even more excited. We're getting more offers for stuff, which is really cool. You two couldn't be prouder. You're
That went a bit
hosting.
Cilla Black there, didn't it?
Couldn't be prouder of you. You're hosting the main stage across the weekend.
God help us. God help everyone.
It's so cool.
It's really cool.
So you'll be introducing Stormzy.
We're going to introduce Stormzy, which is next level.
It's brilliant.
Again, like the Charlotte Tilbury chat, taking me slightly out of my comfort zone. I'll be honest with you.
Brilliant. Betty, you're also hosting a Women in Motorsport panel with
I
some
am.
big guests.
And that is on Thursday, yeah.
Okay.
So.
We're going to be doing 2 live episodes of The Fast and the Curious on the main stage over the weekend, so people can come and see us and say hello. One of them will be right after the F1 qualifying on the Saturday afternoon. A very exciting moment in the weekend. The race just around the corner. We'll be getting all the, we'll work out how it's taking shape. And we'll be there to mop up all the action and chat about the highlights of the weekend and maybe bring out a couple of drivers. Okay, that's the plan. That is the plan. We're working on that at the minute.
I'd like Kevin Magnussen and Zhou Guanyu.
Well,
I'll
we'll try.
take anybody.
We'll
They're
try.
the two
We
drivers
can
I'd like.
take anyone.
Okay, we'll try. We're going to have that Sunday morning slot as well on the main stage.
I loved that
We
Sunday
did the
morning
Gunter
slot.
chat last
Can
year.
we get better weather? That it did rain for
Yeah,
that.
can
last
you
year.
remember? It was raining, hammering it down. We were stood at the side of the stage, and we were like, "No one's going to turn up because
People
it's
did.
going to be hammering it down with rain." We walk out onto the stage, and everyone's there in ponchos.
It's like 9:30 or something. in the
Incredible
morning as well.
dedication.
Yeah. 3.4 million people in the crowd for that podcast. So there was. Unbelievable. Thank you, guys. Thank you for turning out. Really appreciate it.
So we've got a driver guest almost confirmed for that, and I'll tell you about that.
We're not allowed- yeah,
off
not
air.
quite-
It's a good one. It's
Is
a really
it?
good one. But the most exciting bit of it is because when we set this podcast up, it was always to bring the listeners with us as much as possible into the world, sometimes just by listening and hearing the guests and stuff. But this time it would be physically, because thanks to our brilliant friends at Silverstone, we are giving away 2 pairs of weekend tickets.
Full weekend as well.
Full weekend tickets to the Grand Prix.
That is a big prize.
That's all the exciting stuff that happens Thursday, which, by the way, I'm lucky enough to go to a few of the others around the world. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Thursday's nothing at certain places, where Silverstone have a load of stuff Thursday, which is amazing.
It's like a festival,
Yeah,
isn't
Thursday,
it?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
They are basically trying to make it into Glastonbury for cars.
Yeah.
Kings of Leon, Self-Esteem, Stormzy, Rudimental, Pete Tong's Big Orchestra, all of it and much more. It's very, very good. That's a very, very good lineup.
You know Pete Tong because you work with him at Radio 1.
I do.
Can you get me to... Can you hook... I'd like to meet Pete Tong, please.
Yeah.
He's like a hero of mine.
I feel like you're getting a bit nervous just even asking.
I
Like,
really
you
want
couldn't
to
get
meet
your
Pete on
this
words
podcast,
out.
and he is the loveliest man you'll ever meet.
Oh my... Honestly, I've listened to Pete Tong for so many years. I would die a bit.
we can make that happen.
If we can get Pete Tong on this podcast.
Yeah. 100%.
But for those that don't know, like an amazing, legendary dance music DJ.
Everyone knows Pete Tong.
Everyone knows who Pete
He's
Tong
literally
is.
a phrase. It's all gone Pete Tong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Such a legend.
He is an icon. It's Pete
The
Tong.
legendary DJ.
So yeah, we'll get Pete Tong. But I think we're forgetting about the fact that we have got 2 pairs of full weekend tickets to give away on this podcast. It's an amazing opportunity for us to offer this to the listeners because they're hard to get hold of, the tickets.
2 pairs.
2 pairs.
So we've got 4 tickets.
That's correct.
Oh my god.
Quick maths.
Thank you, Carol Vorderman over there.
Oh.
But as I was saying,
God, pushing the boat
it's a
out.
difficult thing to get hold of the tickets, and also they are expensive.
Yeah.
And there is a cost
So
of living crisis.
expensive.
This country is in a recession, which we don't really talk about enough, and like that's a lot of money to put aside. So look, this is a proper treat. You get to be there the whole weekend. You can come and obviously go and camp if you want to, or drive in and that, whatever. But we'll be announcing the competition and how you could be with the chance of winning that prize in the coming weeks. So stick around.
And we say we'll be announcing in the coming weeks because we haven't fully... We've got some ideas, but we are open to suggestions. If you were to listen and think this is how you should give them away, how do you think we should give the tickets away? Fast Curious poll on the socials.
Yeah.
We are open to... Our listeners play a huge part in every aspect of this podcast. So,
How would you like to win them?
how would you like to win them? And don't just say you could just give them me, because we won't open that
Yeah,
DM.
give us some
No.
good ideas.
We're
We'll have a think
open-minded.
as well. We're a creative powerhouse as well.
Yeah.
What people want to hear is another Christian Hugill quiz format after the success of Play Your Cars Right, Liam Lawson or Michael Dawson. Maybe it should just be a game of Liam Lawson or Michael Dawson, shouldn't
Whose
it,
V
really?
is it anyway?
Whose V is it anyway?
Whose V is it anyway? Was underrated.
Yeah.
We could get
That
some
was
callers.
good.
We could get some callers on. Make it like a proper radio show.
I think we'd like to get callers on.
Bring people in.
Could bring people in.
Yeah.
Into the studio.
Bring them into the studio.
Bring
Why
them
not?
into our
I'd
lair.
like it to be a full camp game that I host in a sparkly jacket. That would be,
If you want to do that, we can do that.
yeah, that'd be nice.
Don't encourage him, Greg.
No,
for
I want to
God's
encourage
sake.
him.
He does encourage me. That's
Yeah,
why
he
he's
does.
my favourite.
A lot of my life has been encouraging. In the last 2 years, a lot of my life is encouraging Christian Hugill.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact,
Go
that
on,
should
Christian.
be like the film. What's the film that sounds like? Encouraging Christian Hugill.
Something Sarah Marshall? No.
Forgetting
Yes.
Sarah Marshall.
That was forgetting. Don't be forgetting Christian Hugill, please. Not yet.
Maybe that's what we should be doing.
One day I will be forgetting Christian Hugill, but for now I'm encouraging Sarah Marshall. Sorry, encouraging Christian Hugill.
So do you see our friendship as having a sort of an end date? Do you like a?
Well, all stories got to have a beginning, middle, and end, and we're in a nice middle at the minute.
So that's good to know that one day, like you text me and said, "Do you want to do an F1 podcast?" One day you'll text me and go, "I don't want to be your friend anymore," and
That's so sad.
it's done now.
I don't think Greg's ever going to do
That's
that.
not what's going to happen.
Oh,
No.
I don't think you'd let him do that anyway.
No.
No, just
Even
turn
if
it
he
back on his
wanted
house.
to.
No. It's only when I sell it to Saudi.
Oh, God.
And they're not allowed a gay presenter anymore.
This podcast is no longer inclusive. No women, no gays. Sponsored by Saudi.
It's just me sitting here on a pile of cash. What happened in the weekend? I don't know. Bought another house.
But I am bloody rich.
Christians don't even want to know.
I bought a few yachts. Every podcast comes from a new yacht that I'm on.
Just you.
Just me.
Greg James around the world.
Anyway.
Anyway, while I'm still here, shall I talk about one of the Formula One races?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like you to talk about the Formula One MSC Cruises Gran Premio del Made in Italy Emilia Romana 2024.
Right, you two have both been talking about this, haven't you? Go on, explain this.
How has this come about?
Well,
Why
money,
are there
money,
so many?
money,
Yes,
money,
I know, but how
money.
did they
There's a bit more
start
to
this
it than money.
process? Like they just add a bloody word to the title every single
You
year.
think you two think the name of this particular event's quite long, don't you?
It's bizarre.
ridiculous.
It's bizarre because there's clearly a lot of stakeholders here, and I also get that. So it was called the San Marino Grand Prix for a bit.
Yes.
It's in Italy, but
It's not even in San Marino.
no, but it's in
near.
Imola. isn't
Yeah,
it?
Yeah.
right. Do you want me to explain
But
that?
San
Yeah,
Marino
come on.
is a
It was
separate
historically
country.
called the San Marino Grand Prix simply because it was there already was an Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So they wanted...
Which is Monza.
Yeah. So they were like, well, it's near San Marino, which isn't a country, is it?
It is. San Marino is
a country,
I went
is
to
it?
San Marino and I've got a stamp in my passport.
No, I'm not denying that it's a place, Betty, but Rotherham's a place and that's not a country.
I got a stamp in my passport,
Rotherham.
Christian. That's what happens when you go to a country.
Fine. So they were like, it's near San Marino, we'll call it the San Marino Grand Prix.
But that's ridiculous. That's like...
This was in the past, and these people who made that decision have long left Formula One.
Also,
don't take it up with me.
It's a little bit like all the airports in London.
It's exactly like that. London Luton Airport. Luton is not in London.
London stands still. I mean, Gatwick's having a laugh. Gatwick's like Crawley.
Well, he throws barely. Anyway.
So this
Manchester Airport, right in the centre of Manchester.
But then it was known as the Imola Grand Prix for a bit when it first came back.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense because it's in the Imola area. But the Emilia-Romagna is the region.
Yeah, so everywhere in that region of Italy, they love adding that onto everything.
Now,
because I was there very recently.
I also have a theory as to why Emilia-Romagna was whacked at the front of it. Stefano Domenicali, big boss of Formula One, is from Emilia-Romagna.
Nice.
And I think to pay homage to his hometown, which is a lovely thing, wanted to, plug his hometown a little bit. It's a little bit like they are trying to... It's not the Brazilian Grand Prix anymore, it's the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. They're trying to promote Sao Paulo a bit more. So I think there's a little bit of that going on as well. They want to promote the region, which is nice.
Big region, though, as well. So
It's
Bologna
massive,
is the capital of that region.
Yes.
And that's an amazing city, Bologna.
Oh, love it.
I should ask Frank, who runs Frank's Cafe, who's proper Italian, about this.
Your favourite cafe, Frank's.
In fact, you know what? I'm gonna pause the podcast, and before it goes out, I'm going to film a little bit with him, and he's going to explain the significance of San Marino, Emilia-Romagna, and why he thinks it's called this. And we're going to insert it now.
Frank, welcome to the Fast and the Curious.
Hi Greg, very nice to see you.
What a fantastic establishment this is. I want to talk to you about the Formula One MSC Cruises Gran Premio del Made in Italy e dell'Emilia-Romagna 2024. So tell us that it used to be called the San Marino Grand Prix,
The San Marino Grand Prix.
Okay.
That's correct.
Tell us about the Emilia-Romagna region, because that's where you're from.
Yes, it is. It's the capital city is Bologna, and the city in line from Bologna. In other words, if you started from Lombardy to make south, would be Piacenza, Parma, Reggio Emilia, Modena, Imola, and then you enter Romagna, the part they call Romagna. And Romagna would have Ravenna, Rimini, Milano Marittima, and further down, that's Emilia-Romagna.
So Imola
Ferrara is Emilia-Romagna.
Which is Ferrari.
Ferrari.
Right? So Imola is part of Emilia-Romagna.
Yes.
And so that's why it's the Imola Grand Prix.
That's right.
Okay.
The Ferrari manufacturer is made in Maranello, as you well know, Maranello, which is near Modena.
Right, okay. Have you spent much time at the Imola circuit? Have you been?
Yes, I've been several times.
What's it like?
It's a circuit that I visit with such sadness because Ayrton Senna lost his life there. But apart from that, it's a very fast circuit, and I quite enjoy it.
Frank, tell me about the food and drink from Emilia-Romagna. What's famous from there?
Emilia-Romagna is renowned in the world as one of the finest regions for food. Lasagne come from Emilia-Romagna, mortadella, tortelli, ravioli, tortellini, salame, coppa, and the wine, contrary to public opinion, because the main one in Emilia-Romagna is Lambrusco, but there is a particular town that produces the finest Lambrusco, Zorbara.
Okay, so the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix is a good one.
Very good one.
Yeah, and
very
are
good
you looking forward to it?
Yes, I am.
Who's going to win?
Well, it would probably be, a foregone conclusion, it seems now, but nevertheless, probably come second now, we have to say. Probably, I hope it's Ferrari.
Okay,
and,
so you're a lifelong Ferrari fan?
Yeah, well, yes, and that is a particular Ferrari country. In Maranello, in the village, there used to be a priest that every time Ferrari won, that he used to ring the bell, the tower bell, and it used to happen quite often. But unfortunately, recently, it's not so often.
Frank, thank you so much for being on the Fast and the Curious.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much to Frank. Can he drop us some espressos over as well next
Mate,
time?
it's the best coffee in London.
Is it?
We went for
Honestly.
a lovely coffee once at Frank's. I loved it.
Honestly,
yeah.
it's the best. I don't want to tell too many people about it, but I also want him to
Well,
thrive.
you've just told the whole
No, I want him
podcast.
to thrive, but I don't want him to, be overrun because I don't get the special table.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So, as for this weekend, it's obviously Ferrari's home race. They've had some upgrades. They've got some upgrades going on, Christian. What can we expect?
The talk in the paddock in Miami was that the Ferrari upgrades were something to get excited about, like people were saying the McLaren upgrades were something to get excited about. Ferrari had a real air of confidence about their upgrades. Now, what then tends to happen is people go, oh, I'm quite excited about these Ferrari upgrades. Then people try to play them down. So almost as soon as people were getting excited, people were like, oh yeah, but we shouldn't expect too much. So it's like, right, well, should we expect much or shouldn't we? There's also rumours about Red Bull bringing upgrades as well. So
I saw this.
Where the pecking order is will be interesting, because people were saying in Miami, this McLaren upgrade's the real deal, but the Miami track doesn't suit McLaren, so we'll get more of an indicator as to where McLaren are in Imola. So where Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull, are Red Bull bringing upgrades? How significant are they? How significant are Ferrari's upgrades? Will McLaren show even more? I think it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on Friday practice this weekend to see where those three slot in and how significant each upgrade is, because you can sit here and say to me, well, how important are they going to be? You never really know till they get on track. That's the beauty of it. So where that top three pecking order is, I still think, by the way, let's not get too carried away. I still think Max Verstappen will win this race and be favourites, but how close the other three are will be interesting. How close the other two are to the third.
Who's winning? I think Lando's winning.
I think Lando. I think
I think he's winning again.
I think Max is winning.
Also, Oscar is getting the same upgrade that Lando had in Miami, right?
Yeah,
So it will be really interesting to see what Oscar's going to be able to do as well.
Double podium McLaren, calling it.
Oh, imagine.
I'd be
1 and 3.
the fight for the podium should be really interesting if, as people are predicting, both Ferrari and McLaren look strong. That'll be a really good battle for the podium.
I'm actually so excited for this race. Like, more excited than I think I've been for any
Everyone
this
is.
year, because I think this is such an important race. I think it's going to be so interesting to see how Red Bull react to this pressure, to the fact that they've got a lot of teams breathing down their necks now, and it's just going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Sorry.
Just the casual fan is back in.
Yeah.
The casual Formula One fan is excited, is aroused again.
Well,
They're like, oh, hang on, there's a sea change, things are happening.
It doesn't feel, I touched upon this earlier, it doesn't feel anymore like it's just Red Bull getting further and further away. Let's not get too carried away. They are still the fastest team, I believe, and I think they will still win the majority of races this season.
Too late, I'm carried away.
Right, but...
I'm sorry, I've gone.
He's running off with it.
I'm being carried away.
Yeah.
I'm on a chariot.
It really does seem that Ferrari and McLaren are making significant progress.
When I spoke to Lando after he won Miami, name drop, he seemed so confident. He just seemed so just calm, confident that McLaren are now up here.
I all season it's been a different vibe than last season. We've been hearing Ferrari and Oscar. I said this to Oscar when he was last on the podcast. I was like, well, we were used to people going, oh, no, we can't catch Red Bull. But even Oscar, when he was on, 6 weeks ago, was saying, no, I think we're in a good place. You're exactly right. That optimism just seems to be around for Ferrari, even in the pen with Sky Sports, going, no, a couple of races ago, going, no, I think we can do it. There's so much more optimism around this year. It's really interesting.
And another reason why I agree with Greg, and I'm also on this chariot, getting carried away,
Both of us.
is because Lando's got quite a good record at Imola, hasn't he? And am I right in thinking, Christian, that Miami might have not been the best raced technically for McLaren to do well in terms of the way the track is, but Imola is right up their street?
But people seem to think that Imola would suit McLaren's car more than Miami. That's why I mentioned earlier, people were saying, well, the upgrades are great, but we might not see their full potential until Imola. And while we're talking about Imola, it's one of these tracks that, me and Greg watching the sport in the 90s, F1 was racing there. I love the Imola circuit for a few reasons. It's in a beautiful part of Italy, as we were saying. It's thin and it punishes mistakes with proper gravel traps, but you can still overtake. And my little tip would be watch for coming around the final corner, the long start-finish straight, and then into a real tight turn one. that's a great overtaking opportunity. If anyone can hook themselves up at the final corner and get a good toe down the start-finish straight into turn 1, that's going to be key to this race. That's going to be where to do your overtaking. And also there's a sort of S-bend section in the middle that's so tricky to get right. It's a fascinating circuit. It's a really good circuit. I like Imola a lot.
This should be a thing. Christian's tips ahead of a Grand Prix.
Yeah.
What's that one thing that you should look out for in the race?
Well,
I'm imagining the drivers listening to this going, "Oh, good
Writing
one."
I think
notes.
they know that's the key overtaking opportunity. But also, turn 1 can often be a bit chaotic in Imola because, the first lap in general, because it's until the cars thin out, it's not a modern circuit, and these cars are so much bigger than when Imola was first designed. So the first lap could be interesting. The first corner should be interesting. Remember going back to the 2021 title battle when Max and Lewis went into turn 1, 2, 3 and didn't give themselves any room, and one of the two of them bounced over the curbs. It's a really good circuit. And we didn't get this race last year because it was rained off, quite literally. It was flooded off.
It is going to rain a little bit, apparently, 60%, but that makes it interesting.
It is one of those Grand Prix weekends. It is one of those parts of the world, a bit like Spa, where you do see a lot of rain. So now I'm really looking... I'm a bit gutted. I'm on a stag do this weekend.
Well, I'm on a hen do.
You're on a hen do, I'm on a stag do. Bit gutted that I'm not going to be able to have one of those weekends where I just sit and watch every single minute of it.
Christ, the debrief episode's going to be awful.
Exactly. Our post-race debrief is
God.
going to be very interesting.
Dreading it.
Yeah.
I'll do the heavy lifting.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to have to rely on you, I
It's going
think.
to be
Bev.
interesting.
Don't you worry. So
I'm not going to be able to watch the race live for the WhatsApp group. I'll be on a plane when the race is live, coming home from the stag do.
Very bad planning on your part.
It's not. Unfortunately, I'm one of the groomsmen, so I couldn't back out of the stag do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone. It's on a Grand Prix weekend.
You can't back out of a stag do.
Well,
for
evidently
a
not.
F1
So I'm gonna have to-
race.
I'd
Would
back
you?
out for cricket.
Would you back
Oh,
out?
God, yeah.
Would you Formula One?
I'd find another excuse, but the real reason would be this, yeah.
It's literally my best friend in the world. That's why I'm going on the stag do. I hope he appreciates it. But I'm going to have to do the whole thing of staying secret. Then I'm going to come home, and as soon as I get home,
I've played it quite well because I land in Manchester from the hen do that I'm on at 12.
Perfect.
Oh, but
You'll be
you
home.
see-
So
nailed it.
I'm going to be home
The airport's very convenient.
1:30.
It's the middle of Manchester.
Middle of Manchester, like I said earlier. I'll be home 12:30.
no, I won't.
Sat there ready to go.
I will be almost impossible to get hold of Sunday afternoon.
Imagine Christian booking your stag do and it goes, "Congratulations, guys, we're going to Imola."
He would do that.
Yeah. Who wants to go to Imola?
I'm not sure I
voice.
appreciate the voice, if I'm honest. I'm not sure. Is that how I sound?
No.
No.
Could be back-to-back losses for Red Bull this weekend. Let's find out.
Yeah, for the first time since 2022.
Looking forward to the post-race debrief with you two hungover idiots.
It'll be a struggle.
Interesting that you're both going away again. You're jet setters, aren't you? Oh, Grandad over here have not left the country for months. For years.
It's a struggle for you, isn't it, Greg?
I
to
don't
leave
like
the house?
change. But look, if you are travelling abroad, you know what I'm going to do here?
I
Make
think I
sure
know.
you've got NordVPN with you. Potentially a really good opportunity for you to use it. So you can you're off to a secret location, but outside the British Isles,
Yes, I can't say because the stag might be listening, but I'm going somewhere.
and you're off to
I'm off to Portugal.
Portugal.
Lisbon,
Beautiful.
to be
Oh, in fact,
precise.
I went there about a month ago. I don't know what I'm talking about. I
Oh,
went there with my mum.
exactly.
Of course you did.
It's beautiful. And I used NordVPN there to listen to all everything. Yeah.
And I used it in Miami to change my virtual location so it thought I was in the UK so I could download something to watch for the plane on the way home. And I did just that. So thanks, NordVPN. You made that possible for me.
You know what I actually did? So I used it because I'm a boring radio nerd. I listened to a thing called Radio Garden. Okay, Radio Garden is it's brilliant. Jimmy's nodding.
I've not heard of this. How have I missed
Oh,
this?
it's so good. I mean, this isn't an advert for Radio Garden. This is an advert for Nord, just to be clear.
NordVPN.
But Radio Garden just shows you all the local radio stations all over the world.
I
It's
need this.
wow.
I wish I'd known this in America.
it's a world map, and you can just pick like a local radio station, a random one, and just listen to it.
Oh,
I
I
bet
need that.
there's all sorts of gold on there.
But your location needs to show Portugal to get the Portuguese ones out there. So I was like,
Oh my God, I
flipping.
could use NordVPN to listen to my all-time favourite radio DJ, no offence, Broadway Bill Lee, who does a New York show.
Why don't I do it now? I'm going to put my Nord on.
All right, you get your Nord on.
Get your Nord.
Get your Nord on for the lads.
Get your Nord out.
Yeah.
Get your Nord
Greg's
out.
getting his Nord out.
Get my Nord out for the lads.
This is a great slogan for NordVPN. Get your Nord out.
And while you're doing that, I can say that to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/TFATC, and our link will also give you 4 months on the 2-year plan, and there's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the description of this episode, and you can use it to listen to radio stations from around the world, like this one in America.
WNYC.
Yeah, WNYC's great. Yeah.
WNYC FM 93.9. Here we go.
Maybe the Lancashire healer can bring it for you. Breakfast in bed.
This is NPR News.
Wow.
So yeah, all that stuff.
Listening to American radio.
Supporters include the Vital Projects Fund, supporting the Museum of Modern Art.
See, it's
There you
good, isn't
go.
it?
So there we go, guys. You can have such a great time listening to radio stations around the world.
I am going to listen.
NordVPN.
Genuinely, though, and this is not even for the advert, I will be using NordVPN to listen to American radio. Oh, it's fantastic, this.
You can
There you
also
go.
do things like keep your bank password safe, online banking safe. You can use Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi, and it keeps all your passwords safe, so no one can hack you.
So
They
there you
haven't
go.
got me a hat, though, have they?
I think that's a pretty good sell for Nord, isn't it?
I mean, that's a great sell.
Enjoy
They
the
should be happy with that.
They really should be happy with that. It was lovely, wasn't it? Anyway, enjoy the Imola Grand Prix, everyone. I know I will want some back from the stag do.
I won't be enjoying the Imola Grand Prix.
Oh,
I'll be enjoying the Formula One MSC Cruises Gran Premio della Made in Italy della Emilia Romagna 2024.
I loved how that slightly went into a bit of an Italian accent.
Well, because it's English and Italian.
Emilia.
Formula One MSC Cruises Gran Premio del Made in Italy della Emilia Romagna 2024.
Good roll of the tongue there, Greg.
Grazie.
Thank you very much for listening and watching.
Ciao
We'll be back.
ragazzi.
Grazie. Grazie mille.
Au revoir.
Oh,
No, it's French.
What?